Good afternoon. How are you doing? My name is Sergio Osejo, Osejo. I'm an academic consultant from Cengage Learning and National Geographic Learning. The idea of today's workshop is to give you an overview about ICT for ELT, for English language teaching, how to work with new technologies, how to work with all the gadgets we have at our disposal for um, for teaching. Let me show you how to let me share my screen so it's going to be easier for you to understand and to follow my ideas. One sec, please. Okay, I think I'm sharing my screen now. Okay, here you have. Let's start again. The title of today's workshop is When Technology, Entertainment and Design Converge at English Language Teaching. Just give me one sec. I think I have a message from Miguel. Everything is okay. Excellent. We're good to go. This is the agenda that we have for this brief workshop, an hour workshop actually. The first topic is are we going against the tide? I'm going to share with you my experience as an English teacher, and I'd like you to analyze, to think if you have had the same experience in terms of English language teaching. You guys as a teacher inside of a classroom and in front of your group of students. After that, I'm going to give you the answer of what could we do in terms of if we are really doing a good job or not in the classroom. Then we're going to talk about TED Talks, the famous TED Talks, these videos that we have been using for our classes. Then we're moving to ICT overview, an overview about these information and communication technologies that we could use for our classes. Then I'm going to move on to the role. What's the role of students and teachers whilst using ICT in the classroom? Then I'm going to give you a couple of tips for your classes in terms of software and friendly websites if you want to change a little bit your classes thanks to ICT. And for finishing, I'll give you a couple of tips in terms of music for ELT. Okay, let's start. The first question here is, are we rowing against the tide? It's like, are we going against the tide? Have you heard that expression? Like when you are in the middle of a river and you are going against the tide, it's really difficult. You want to go upstream, but you can't. Somehow you can't. It's pretty much what happened to me actually a couple of years ago while working as an English teacher. Why am I saying this? Okay, the first idea is here, okay, what I just wrote, and it's like most of the students spend 3 years in preschool, in kindergarten, right? Meaning pre-kinder, kindergarten, and transition at school, in listening to a lot of English classes with an English teacher, facing a lot of English material, right, in the preschool years, and then after moving or while moving to primary, they spent 5 more years studying English, right? And then after primary, they move on to secondary, right? And they spent 6 more years of English classes. And still, when they graduate and they move on to the university, it's like somehow they have lost all their English level. It's like, if you do the math, right, that's 3 plus 5 plus 6. That's a lot of years, right? And as soon as you go to the university, you don't have and like a decent English level. Somehow it's like, what happened with all those years, right? It's an interesting question. and it has happened to me a lot with my students. Also, so that's something to think of, right? Also, I've heard, I've read, I've faced the situation that ICT, these new technologies, is the tendency for teaching, right? We have a lot of gadgets, we're using tablets, we're using laptops, even the smartphones, and um, I'm gonna use them all, right? In the middle of my class at the university. I'm moving from schools now. I'm talking about classes at a university, and I'm gonna use all these gadgets, but I don't have internet access. It's like in the university, I need this internet access for uh, playing a video, for showing my students information in a website, but the internet access is not reliable. It's too bad access. So it's my question is like, how can I rely on my ICT tools if I don't have a decent internet access connection? I don't know if that has happened to you guys at your school or at the university or all those places where you are working at right now. But it happened to me a lot, and it's really frustrating. Also, I was wondering if I was rowing against the tide because, as you should know, autonomous learning is necessary, it's mandatory for acquiring a new language, right? So I talk to my students practically every single day in the classroom. Guys, you have to study at home, you have to do your homework, you have to listen to music as much as possible. You know what I mean? And somehow during vacation time, right? After vacation, I receive my students again in my classroom and they forget everything. You know what I mean? So I spent a lot of months, right? A lot of classes teaching, making them learn, but after vacation, it's like they forget everything. It's like, once again, it's really frustrating. On the other hand, um, I wonder if your students understand the concept of globalization and the importance of English for professional development. Like I've seen, I've met a lot of students telling me, teacher, I don't need English. English for me is not important. I'm not gonna use English. I don't want to travel. I'm not going to go to the States or to the UK. I'm gonna be here in Colombia. I'm gonna work. So what's English for? You know what I mean? So it's frustrating as a teacher to listening to those arguments and those ideas. Obviously, what we have to do is sharing our experience, telling them that English it's an opportunity for getting a better job, for getting a promotion, for working overseas, for becoming a better person in terms of, as I said, professional features and or professional development. So all of those things make like make me wonder if I'm going against the tide. Like I'm working, I'm doing my best job, but it's really difficult with my students. Also, I was wondering about myself, right? What about teachers? I'm gonna be very honest with you guys, and obviously, if I'm using English 24/7 every single day, my English level is good enough, right? It's above the average, and obviously, it's easy for me to talk and to pronounce and to use a lot of phrasal verbs and slang and expressions, But if again, if during my vacation time I stop reading English, I stop using English. As soon as I go back to the class, go back to the school or to the university, my English gets rusty. Rusty, like it's like difficult for me. Like my pronunciation loses a little bit. My fluency is not that good. So it's like, wow, I didn't practice. I didn't use my English, so that's something not good for me as a teacher. I don't know if that has happened to you. If you want to chat, I think you have the option for chatting here. So if you want to write down some opinions, please be my guest. And also, working on the same line or talking about the same idea, it's like what am I doing about it, right? If I want to improve my English level, if I want to maintain, to keep my English level, what am I doing about it, right? Am I practicing? Am I listening to music 24/7? Or maybe I am just repeating and mastering grammar rules and mastering vocabulary for my classes. So that's something that I want to change. I don't want to be the master in terms of simple present rule, past perfect, conditional, modals. No, what I want is to actually use English in a very communicative way and obviously make my students do the same, right? And at the end, after all of those questions, here's what I have: this interesting inquiry. Are we really doing a good job in the classroom? Like, that's my question, because if I'm facing all of this, right? Like a lot of time and my students are not improving their English level. I don't have unreliable internet access. Autonomous learning for my students is not an option. Globalization and professional development with English is not an option for my students. My English level is not that good every day, every single day, and I am not training myself for becoming a better English teacher. Maybe I am not doing an English, I am not doing a good job in the classroom. So I decided to read, right, a lot of research papers, especially from ELT trainers, and I found this information. But in 2003 states that context should be our priority over all other factors, and that contextual awareness should be developed to appreciate multiple factors, including individuals, classrooms, schools, locations, and cultures, meaning that it's not only about teaching a class and teaching vocabulary and teaching grammar rules, but also it's about taking into account the context of the student. Okay, what is my student aiming for in the future? What type of gadgets, what type of tools do we have for our classes? What about the culture of my students? What about the classroom itself for teaching English? It's something that we have. All of those factors must be taken into account in order to do a good job. What do you think about that? Let me know later. And on the other hand, Drivas in 2011 stated that ICT tools, remember, ICT stands for Information and Communication Technology. He stated that these tools are an option for changing the environment of the class in trying to achieve a communicative classroom sensation. So with the use of ICT, you guys as teacher and my students have the option of achieving a natural conversation sensation, communicative sensation, because it's going to be natural, because my students are going to be faced to a lot of videos, to a lot of natural language, authentic material, right? And an interesting video, maybe a movie, a song, you know what I mean? It's really interesting when we do have the option of using ICTs in a good way, obviously, for teaching English. So, one of these ICT tools is called TED Talks. I don't know if you have heard, if you have seen, if you have read about this interesting organization, TED. TED stands for technology, it's an acronym. T for technology, E for entertainment, and D for design. It also works in Spanish if you want to make the translation. Technology, entertain, and design. And this company is a nonprofit organization. And the idea of the company is to share ideas, to share achievements, to share experiences. So you will find in those videos different people, not only famous people. You could only find normal people sharing the experience about something that happened recently or a couple of years ago. But the advantage of those videos is that the language is natural, right? The language is also very neutral in terms of accent, in terms of pitch and tone. It's really easy to understand, easy to follow for your students, no matter the level. Meaning that you could use TED Talks for beginner students, intermediate, upper intermediate, advanced students. It's really nice. It's an interesting tool for our classes. If you want to check more about TED Talks, you could surf the net and you could go to its website, which is www.tedtalks.com. Or if you could also Google it and you will find it very easy. Or YouTube, it's also another option for TED Talks. So you go on the net, you go to YouTube, you type TED Talks, and you will find a lot of TED Talks, a lot of videos about different topics. Here, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna play a TED Talk for you. But before, I'd like to introduce the video a little bit, but not with the topic, not with the title, just with these three questions. My first question for you guys is, do you like music? I think most of you do, right? Um, Myself as well, naturally. The second question is, how do you like singing? I would say a lot of teachers like singing. Most of your students are eager to sing in the classroom. I've heard that, I've faced that, and that's interesting, right? And my third question for you, teachers, is, have you ever been on a choir? You know, choir, right? This group of people singing at the same time, very synchronized. Have you ever been on one of those, or never, ever? Okay, so here I will play a TED Talk for you.
This is Eric Whitaker, a composer and conductor. He has written over 50 pieces of music interested in how music can connect people around the world. Eric launched a project to bring together a virtual choir of individual voices from across the globe. Well, a couple of years ago, a friend of mine emailed me a link, a YouTube link, and said, "You have got to see this." And it was this young woman who had posted a fan video to me singing the soprano line to a piece of mine called Sleep.
Hi, Mr. Eric Whitaker. My name is Bretland Lucy, and this is a video that I'd like to make for you. Here's me singing Sleep. I'm a little nervous, just to let you know.
Was thunderstruck. Britland was so innocent and so sweet, and her voice was so pure. And I had this idea: if I could get 50 people to all do this same thing, sing their part, soprano, alto, tenor, and bass, wherever they were in the world, post their videos to YouTube, we could cut it all together and create a virtual choir. So I wrote on my blog, OMG, OMG. Actually wrote OMG, hopefully for the last time in public ever. And I sent out this call to singers, and I made free the download of the music to a piece that I'd written in the year 2000 called Lux Arungwe, which means light and gold. And lo and behold, people started uploading their videos. Now, I should say before that, what I did is I posted a conductor track of myself conducting. And it's in complete silence when I filmed it because I was only hearing the music in my head, imagining the choir that would one day come to be. Afterwards, I played a piano track underneath so that the singers would have something to listen to. And then as the video started to count again, this is Cheryl Ang from Singapore. This is Evangelina Etienne. From Massachusetts. Stephen Hansen from Sweden. This is Jamal Walker from Dallas, Texas. There was even a little soprano solo in the piece, so I had auditions. And a number of sopranos uploaded their parts. I was told later, and also by lots of singers who were involved in this, that they sometimes recorded 50 or 60 different takes until they got just the right take. They uploaded it. Here's our winner of the soprano solo. This is Melody Myers from Tennessee. I love the little smile she does right at the top of the note, like, yeah, no problem, everything's fine. And from the crowd emerged this young man, Scott Haynes, and he said, listen, this is the project I've been looking for my whole life. I'd like to be the person to edit this all together. I said, thank you, Scott. I'm so glad that you found me. And Scott aggregated all of the videos. He scrubbed the audio. He made sure that everything lined up. This is Luke's La Rumque, sung by the virtual choir. I'll stop it there in the interest of time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So there's more. There's more. Thank you so much. And I had the same reaction you did. I actually was moved to tears when I first saw it. I just couldn't believe how the poetry of all of it. These souls all on their own desert islands, sort of sending electronic messages in bottles to each other. And the video went viral. We had 1 million hits in the first month, and it got a lot of attention for it. And because of that, then a lot of singers started saying, all right, what's Virtual Choir 2.0? And so I decided for Virtual Choir 2.0 that I would choose the same piece that Britlin was singing, Sleep, which is another work that I wrote in the year 2000, poetry by my dear friend Charles Anthony Silvestri. And again, I posted a conductor video, and we started accepting submissions. This time we got some more mature members. members. That's Georgie from England. She's only 9. Isn't that the sweetest thing you've ever seen? Someone did all 8 videos of bass, even sing the soprano parts. This is Bo Ogden. And we just closed submissions January 10th, and our final tally was 2,051 videos from 58 different countries. From Malta, Madagascar, Thailand, Vietnam, Jordan, Egypt, Israel, as far north as Alaska, and as far south as New Zealand. And we also put a page on Facebook for the singers to upload their testimonials, what it was like for them, their experience singing it. And I've just chosen a few of them here. My sister and I used to sing in choirs together constantly. Now she's an airman in the Air Force, constantly traveling. It's so wonderful to sing together again. I love the idea that she's singing with her sister. Aside from the beautiful music, it's great just to know I'm part of a worldwide community of people I've never met before, but who are connected anyway. And my personal favorite, when I told my husband that I was going to be a part of this, he told me that I did not have the voice for it. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you have heard that too. Me too. It hurt so much, and I shed some tears, but something inside of me wanted to do this despite his words. It's a dream come true to be part of this choir, as I've never been part of one. When I placed a marker on the Google Earth map, I had to go with the nearest city, which is about 400 miles away from where I live. As I am in the great Alaskan bush, satellite is my connection to the world. So 2 things struck me deeply about this. The first is that human beings will go to any lengths necessary to find and connect with each other. It doesn't matter the technology. And the second is that people seem to be experiencing an actual connection. It wasn't a virtual choir that there are people now online, they're friends, they've never met, but I know myself too, I feel this virtual esprit de corps, if you will, with all of them. I feel a closeness to this choir, almost like a family. What I'd like to close with then today is the first look at Sleep, Virtual Choir 2.0. This will be a premiere today. We're not finished with the video yet, but we do have the first 3 minutes, and it's a tremendous honor for me to be able to show it to you here first. You're the very first people to see this. This is Sleep, the Virtual Choir.
Okay, guys, what do you think? Have you seen this video before or first time ever? Actually, as I said, talking with your students about a TED Talk, it's an interesting opportunity for them to participate and to give their opinion or a viewpoint about a specific topic, in this case, music. Remember, I was asking you guys these questions about music, about singing, about being on a choir. So that's the advantage of working with TED Talks. Um, Obviously, you have a lot of strategies for working with a video watching activities, questions, icebreakers, different um, approaches for the video. While watching the video, it's like stopping or actually stopping the video in the middle of it, or after a specific amount of time, for confirming information, for confirming comprehension. You could use the closed caption. Remember, I played the closed caption in the middle of the video because I wanted you to realize that closed caption is also a nice strategy for teaching. And post while activities could be related to questions about relating the context of your students to the video itself. For example, here I have a couple of questions after for wrapping up the activities. Like, did you like the video? Have you heard about this, about a virtual choir with people around the world, actually recording their voice and sending the file to this guy who's gonna um, um, gather all these tracks and all these experiences and playing it at the same time with one single a video, right? And what about you guys actually as teachers creating or featuring a virtual choir at your school, right? Like asking them to record their voice, and then with maybe the help of the system engineering or an IT guy at the school, gathering all these tracks and maybe have your own virtual choir. That's an interesting activity if you want to think about that later on. And besides music, okay, maybe it's not only about a virtual choir in terms of music. What about maybe ask your students to make a video about nature, about pets, about hobbies, right? And then you as a teacher gather all these presentation, all this information, and make one single presentation. So all your students are going to be committed, are going to be motivated, are going to be interested and linked to the English class. That's the idea of ICT, guys. It's taking advantage of these strategies for improving the class itself, for fostering participation, for encouraging communication with your students. Okay, let's change the subject just a little bit, and let's talk about an ICT per se. As I said, ICT stands for information and communication technologies. All the new technologies are related to this acronym ICT. Here I have a sentence, a statement that says, today we have schools from the 19th century, teachers from the 20th, and students from the 21st. What do you think about this? Okay, if you want to type, if you want to write any comments, please go ahead. And actually, I'm going to share this presentation with you guys if you want to review these slides later. And if you want to send me an email, please be my guest. I really appreciate your feedback about your comments and opinions about this interesting statement. But the idea here is that we have students from the 21st because they are really technological related. There is a term in English, maybe you have heard of it before, which is tech savvy, 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 tech savvy, which is a person, it's a slang for a person who is really connected to technology, plays with technology most of the time, computers, internet, smartphones, tablets, stuff like that. We have students with this profile. We are from the 20th. Why? Because we do understand how to work with a laptop or how to work with a tablet, right? But maybe if you are in front of whiteboard software or in front of a smartphone, maybe we can take advantage of all the features, meaning that we do know about technology, but there are a lot, since technology is changing and updating really, really fast, maybe sometimes we do not have all the knowledge for working with them all. And schools from the 19th century, because remember what I said at the beginning of the workshop, maybe you can't rely on the internet access, and that's an issue for us as teachers. Think about that and let me know your comments. ICT in ELT, in English language teaching, is related to three concepts: knowledge, the way we teach, and training. Okay, why? In terms of knowledge, it's related because knowledge, it's about every single means for achieving a social, economic, and cultural status. That's the idea, right? That's the reason, because we're studying, we are learning, we're taking a master's degree, a PhD, the more we learn, the better our social, economic, and cultural status is. Meaning that ICT is going to help me to have a better status. On the other hand, ICT is related to the way we teach, because it's going to help me, technology, all these gadgets are going to help me to approach knowledge so students can reason, judge, and get ready for real life. That's what I'm doing here, guys. That's what I'm doing with my students. I'm preparing these people, these guys, for judging, reasoning, and getting ready for the real life. And finally, ICT, it's related to the training. Training not only for them, but also for us as teachers. ICT helped me process knowledge to achieve expertise and proficiency. It's really important taking advantage of new technologies for training myself as an English teacher and actually as a professional. Don't forget about that. So bottom line, what's ICT? Means at our disposal to produce, manipulate, transmit, and disperse information. That's really, really important. Don't forget about that. Being a little bit more specific, we could say that any product related to ICT, again, to information and communication technology, it's related to storing, retrieving, manipulating, transmitting, and receiving information. Everything is about information, the way you store the information, the way you manipulate the information, the way you transmit to your students this information. That's about ICT. You could classify ICT in two big groups: hardware and software. In terms of hardware, sorry, I'm talking about gadgets, personal computers, the stuff, the gadgets you can touch, right? Mobile phones, tablets, all of those gadgets, all of those objects, stuff, it's classified into the hardware group. And the software, it's about something that you can't touch, you cannot touch. Closed captions, softwares, files, text messages. Do you know what I mean? That's the main difference between hardware and software. Two big groups for classifying these ICT tools, meaning that TED Talks would be in the hardware or in the software. A TED Talk. What do you think? In conclusion, we could say that ICT provide us unlimited opportunities for teaching and for learning. Why? Because technology, it's a medium. Remember, It's the medium that we use for teaching languages. Also, technology must not change our priorities. Guys, you have to be very clear with this. I want you to please analyze this. You, technology can't change the priority of your class. If you see that you are losing a lot of time because you want to play a video, but you don't have the internet access, you don't have the speakers, you don't have the light, a lot of features for your class. If you don't have the requirements for a good class, don't use technology. Think about that. If I don't have a good internet access, I will not use technology unless obviously I have the opportunity of downloading the video beforehand in my computer, so I don't have to use internet. But you know what I mean, right? And remember that technology is always changing and improving. As soon as you are familiar with the software, the following day it's an update with new features, with new tools, with new icons. So you have to be aware of that, and you have to be always willing to learn new things about technology. After talking about ICT, it's interesting to wonder what's the role of the teacher and what's the role of the student whilst using ICT. I wanted to give you 5 minutes so you could share, if you are in a groups, a couple of ideas, but since we don't have much time, that's gonna be just for you. And I prefer to continue with the conclusions of the workshops in terms of this interesting question. The role of the educators. This is really important. First, we have to manage ICT properly. We have to be really comfortable while using ICT. Also, it's really important to know when and when not using ICT. Remember that I explained about the internet access. Also, professional development. Nowadays, there are a lot of training, virtual training, a lot of virtual classes, free software, online free classes, placement tests, a lot of tools for your professional development. Take advantage of that. And the more you work with technology, or the more you work with the net, with internet for your professional development, the better. Also, as an educator, as a teacher, it's really important to create different learning opportunities. Remember this theory from Gardner about the multiple intelligence one, about that maybe I am a very visual student who likes to watch a lot of videos, flashcards, posters, right? But next to me, I have this friend who is very kinesthetic, like he or she needs to stands up and to work with their hands and to jump and to play. Okay, so um, me as a teacher, I need to understand that every single student learns differently. Thus, I need to take that into account every time I want to teach. ICT, it's going to help me with that. What about if after watching this TED Talk, I make my students take their cell phones and record a video about something they like? You know what I mean? It's relating both options, the video itself and also the context of my students. And finally, as I said, as a teacher, we must be willing to change and to adapt to new realities. Technology is here, so deal with it. You know what I mean? And the role of the learners, the role of the students, is easy. Students must be able to link knowledge to a reality. Remember what I said about professional development, about getting a better job, about getting a promotion, about working overseas, or maybe living for good overseas? Okay, they need to understand that in ICT technology is going to help me to show this to my students. In the same way, students must succeed in and out of the classroom. The English class, guys, is not only for teaching grammar structures and for teaching isolated vocabulary. You must link the class to the context of the student and helping them succeed in life. Once again, with a TED talk, with a song, with an authentic material, for example, I don't know, a website, the New York Times, or maybe Wikipedia, if you can rely, right? If you can rely on the information, you can show your students the importance of English and the advantage of learning English. And finally, as we have seen, as you should know, autonomous learning is really important for understanding, for learning English. So we must tell them that they need to be in charge of their own learning. With an ICT, with this video, for example, with this TED Talk, guys, I want you to go home and as a homework, I don't want you to write an essay. I don't want you to fill in the blanks of the workbook. No, I just want you to go home. I just want you to watch this video, and tomorrow we will discuss about it. So it's the responsibility of the student to go home, to get online, to play the video, and to watch it. So I would say that if you have the opportunity, I mean, if you have to choose as a student between watching a video or writing a lot of information in a workbook, I would say the video is a better option, right? Okay. I'm gonna stop here for a sec. I'm gonna go to my place here to see if I have some comments, maybe a chat or something. I think I don't. Okay, so I continue. Okay, guys, this part of the workshop, it's about some tips for your classes. Okay, so if you have a piece of paper or if you want to watch this video later, and as I said, I'm gonna share this presentation if you want. So here, I'm gonna give you a couple of tips for your classes. The first one, this is a website, www.mybrainshark.com. I am pretty sure you are really familiar with the PowerPoint presentations, and nowadays I've seen a lot of teachers working with Prezi. Prezi, it's kind of similar to PowerPoint, with the difference that the Prezi presentation it's like more dynamic. You could see more movement between one slide or and the next one or the previous one, but you could feel Prezi it's more dynamic if you want to compare it to PowerPoint. With this software, my BrainShark, you have the option of taking either of those presentations, either a PowerPoint or a Prezi presentation, and changing them into a video. So what about if I take my PowerPoint presentation, for example, the one I'm actually currently presenting, and as a video? So I don't have to, for example, if I want to record my voice in the video, that's an option as well. And I could show up to my class with my video, and while my students are watching the video, I'm not talking because I have recorded my voice beforehand. Meaning that I have the option of monitoring or maybe doing something different while the students are watching the video, or simply it's a different way of presenting information. So it's up to you guys. Please go to www.mybrainshark.com, and if you want to see the demo, it's really interesting. And the best part of this is that it's for free. You don't have to pay anything. Everything is for free with this website. The other one is Padlet.com. It's an interesting tool, especially for primary students. Why? Because this is about graphic organizers. With this software, again, for free, guys, don't forget that, you have the opportunity of organizing all the information with different charts. You see, so you could ask your students to develop a graphic organizer in terms based on a topic. For example, I don't know, photosynthesis or your best day ever, hobbies, your family, pets, whatever you want. So students could get online here and organize all the information and then presenting the information to your classmates, to you as a homework or as a project. Another feature of this is the opportunity of sharing the information of public in the Facebook account, in the Instagram account. So it's really interesting because you are once again connecting the topic of your class to the reality of the student. Obviously, we have to be very careful with the information we share, with the information we are authorizing to post on the Facebook page or on the Instagram page. But it's a nice option. Another one is called DPD, DIPITY, DPD.com. This is a free software for timelines. Remember, when you want your students to do some research about maybe a country or maybe a famous person or maybe an important, I don't know, event in your country, so you have the opportunity of using the software for timelines. Here, for example, this is an image, this is a screenshot of the timeline for Steve Jobs. So you play here the name of the person, or the name of the place, whatever you want to do, the years, and with the timeline, they can type the title, the important event, the date, and also post a picture. You see, so you have your whole timeline, and whenever you wanna focus on an event, you just click and the image and the information enhances. So it's an interesting option as well for your classes and for your students, especially when you want to assign homework. Remember, this is gonna work for homeworks. Students love doing homeworks if they have the opportunity of using technology for them. Okay, so remember, guys, you have Brainshark, Puppet, and DPD. Please, that's gonna be a small homework for you. I'm gonna ask you to please surf the net, go to this software, and send me an email with your opinions and comments about them all. And for finishing the workshop, today's session, actually, I want to share with you some topics for using music in ICT in your classes. Okay, there are a lot of currently there are a lot of software for listening to music: Deezer, Spotify, Google Play. In If I want to be very honest with you, music, in my opinion, is one of the most important tools that we can take advantage of for learning English or actually learning any language, because it's something that you like, music. It's related to something that you must achieve, which is the language, and it's easy for you to go with, meaning that you can play music right now, maybe after the class, maybe while driving home or taking the bus for, I don't know, going to the gym or going to a different place. You know, music, it's a very nice option for you actually over videos, because if you want to watch a video and you have to drive, you don't have that option. On the other hand, with music, you do have that option. So it's an interesting tool. Okay. One of our authors, Keith Falls, this year we actually, this is an experience I want to share with you. We were in the middle of this presentation, a symposium at an ELT conference here in Colombia, and Keith said something really interesting. He said an English teacher will always have a job because of the three P's: past, past tenses, phrasal verbs, and prepositions. This is because every single time we must teach a class, you have to deal with those difficult topics for the student. Past tenses, pain in the neck for my students. Phrasal verb, teacher, this is too difficult. Prepositions, okay. Sometimes it's in, sometimes it's on, sometimes it's at. My goodness. Explain, teacher. We need an explanation. We demand an explanation. It happens a lot. So Kate says that we will always have a job because of these three P's. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Let me know your opinions. But if you want to analyze a little bit more in deep, you will realize that in terms of grammar tenses, we have 12 main grammar tenses. We have present tenses here, past tenses, and future tenses. Obviously, we have more tenses, more complex tenses, more extended tenses. But these two tenses are the core, the backbone, if you will, of English language. So if you could say, if you master, if you understand, if you can use all those 12 grammar tenses, you could say you do have an acceptable English proficiency level. So what I'm doing here with music and with those grammar tenses is giving you guys a song per tense, per grammar tense. For example, for simple present, I'm giving you this song from the Beatles, She Loves You. Maybe, have you heard of it? I'm pretty sure most of you guys have heard that song, the Beatles. With that song, you are facing students to the present simple tenses. Interesting. Obviously, in terms of activities, you have as many options as you want. Fill in the gaps, scramble the lyrics, or maybe listening and writing the lyrics down. Whatever you want to do with the music, obviously, we have a wide group of opportunities. But with that song, you are covering simple present. Simple present continuous, Lemon Tree, a very dynamic song, very nice. The rhythm, the tone, the pitch is really nice. And you will be covering the present continuous tense. For present perfect, I am giving you We Are the Champions from Queen. Interesting, really nice song, very dynamic and motivational song. Please listen to it if you haven't. Present perfect continues since I'm loving you from Led Zeppelin. Please listen to it. Interesting, and you will be covering the present perfect continues. In terms of past tenses, we have I Will Survive from Gloria Gaynor. I know the song says I will, it's future, but if you listen, if you read the lyrics, you will find that there are a lot of simple past tenses, a lot of simple past lines, and it's going to be easier for your students to repeat and to understand the pronunciation of past simple conjugation, actually. For past continuous, please listen to Crying from Aerosmith. Past perfect, we have Goodbye My Lover from James Blunt. Excellent singer, please follow my advice and listen to his songs. Excellent, awesome. Past perfect continuous. Also, I've been waiting from Xavier Naidu. Excellent song for your consideration. And for future tenses, we have a simple future, We're Gonna Be Friends, Jack Johnson, or the famous song I'll Be There For You from the Rembrandts. Remember this series from the 90s called Friends? The opening song at the beginning of the show. That's the song, that's the one. I'll be there for you. Please listen to it. Future continuous tense, Every Breath You Take from the Police. Awesome song, beautiful lyrics, interesting group. Future Perfect, It's Only Love from Sheryl Crow, and Future Perfect continues, I've Been Waiting on a Girl Like You, Foreigner. Awesome song as well. Okay, guys, that's the ideas, that's the arguments I wanted to share with you for taking ICT into consideration while teaching English as a foreign language or as a second language. My last thought for you guys is that We Could Be Heroes. That's another song. Maybe you could tell me who's the singer. We Could Be Heroes. David. Who's the singer? David Bowie. Okay. We could be heroes, but not just for one day. We could be heroes for all the life of our students. Remember, our students are expecting us to be heroes and to help them face the world. It's a huge world out there, so we need to prepare them to be excellent people and excellent professionals. You have to tell them, guys, never stop studying and never stop learning. Okay? Guys, thank you very much. Much obliged to for being here with you. My name again, it's Sergio Osejo. I know the last name is a little bit strange, Osejo. And here you have my email in case you wanna share some comments, drop some lines about the workshop, or if you have additional questions about the tips I've shared with you. Sergio.osejo@cengage.com, or if you want to follow me on Twitter, my account is at Sergio Sejo, only one O. Okay, guys, thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure being with you.